Alright guys, welcome to another section of today's video where we'll be discussing about budgeting and forecasting, right? Which is one of the fundamental aspects of this training, FP&A Bootcamp training, and we're currently in week 3. And also this is a way also to appreciate every one of you who has stayed this far from week 1 to this time. And also thank you for managing the time with us despite our tight schedules and all of that. Again, let's dive right into it properly and what this budgeting and forecasting you guys have been hearing is all about. Right. So this is how our model has been structured. So we'll be talking down on my second slide here, and this is what is going to cover basically. Right, what make up this section. The first section will be talking about the budget design fundamentals, understanding planning philosophies and architecture, how you go about it and all of that. This, like I said, this training is going to be strictly practical. I'm not. This is not everything. This is not like a textbook or somebody is reading from textbook. I'm giving you every details for you to hit your ground running in every job you find yourself. Right. So the first one is budget design fundamental, which is very very paramount. Now, if you don't really understand how budget works, the architecture and the planning philosophy, you will be frustrated. I'll tell you, you'll be frustrated. And in fact, even if you know what to do, even if you know how to go about your modeling, your projections, and all of that, when you miss these planning philosophies and architectures, you are likely the management will see you as somebody who does not really know what he or she is doing, or probably you are not doing it. So that's the reason why I'm going as much as possible to give you the practical insight and how to hit your ground running. I feel like somebody who has done it before. So that's one. We'll be looking at budgeting design fundamental, and two, top down budgeting and budgeting. Three, bottom up budgeting. Four, we have rolling forecast, and the last one, which is the fifth, is various tracking framework. Right. So now on my second slide, third slide here, let's look at the budget design fundamental, for example, which is the first thing we're going to be looking at. Right. So what makes a budget more effective? What makes a budget more effective? So that's one way we're asking that question. So a budget, first of all, is a quantified expression of a plan for a defined period of time. So uh, this, let me put in a layman language for everyone who are not from a finance background. You will understand. So a budget is like a plan, is a footprint, is a blueprint, like rather, is a blueprint which guides every organization towards achieving a common goal for a specific period. Right? So we have a common saying that who does not plan is planning to fail. So every business plan, you as an individual, you plan towards some lifetime goals or achievement or series of investment. Right? So that's what savings is all budgeting is all about. So we simply you are asked, it's not something you have to have a defined or you be thinking heavily to say what it is and what is budgeting. I'm thinking of a very nice definition framework you have to give. So it's just a quantified expression of a plan for a defined period of time, or rather, it's a blueprint that guides you towards achieving a common goal or interest. So a good budget uh, is aligned to strategy, operationally granular, owned by business leaders, and measurable against actual. So if you want to know a good budget is not just prepared. It's not just any other thing that you just prepare for preparing sake, right? So a good budget must tick these four processes, these four anchored and bullet points that we have highlighted there. So a good, if you see a very good budget, it must align with the strategy. There must be a strategy behind it, and operationally granular. Everything that the business is going to be running upon operationally, daily routines and everything must be there. And also it must be owned by business leaders. So it is coming, it's not just for you alone, it's coming from business leaders who have sat down together to say, okay, how do we run this business for the coming year or coming period that is depending on what period you are working on. Right? So and also the last one is measurable against actual. So again, you should be able to the budget should be able to be prepared in a way that you can actually compare it against the actual numbers that are coming in. Don't forget it's called budget, not actual. So it's a raw estimate, right? So definitely when the actual numbers start coming in, they might likely going to be like a miss or favorable and unfavorable conditions that will be met in a situation whereby you actually meet that target of the budget or you underperform within what you have planned for the year. So that's what a real budget should contain. Strategic alignment, bullets reflect the company goals, priorities, and competitive strategy. Then we have the operational detail. Operational detail in the department inputs ensures accurate at the cost center and headcount level. Like as I said, getting all the necessary data input that runs the business accurately in terms of headcount, costs, and everything. Now, accountability, they have to also, the budget has to be in a way that there should be clear owner of each line, enable meaningful variance conversion. Now, let's say, for example, a budget is not something that is being done by just one person, even as much as you are just the only person consolidating and preparing the model and everything. But it's a combination of stakeholders, right? Who we sit down, they own this every aspect to give us this input and also contribute significantly because it's a whole thought process. So that's that for budgeting. I feel like that's very, very effective enough for you to. If you have any question, you can always put it at the comment section of this video. I'll do ways to respond to you. Or rather, you have an WhatsApp group, you can create on the group. I will have the time to look at it and also give you a response. Right. So the next slide is the top down budgeting approach. So when you hear the word top down, what comes to your mind? Right. When you hear the word top down, it's simply like you're moving from the top down to the bottom process, right? Like so I'll give you a typical example. Like let's say now in every organization we have leaders, we have juniors, we have middle levels and all of that, right? So we have people who are that level who are responsible for making any decisions, right? And taking the business to the higher goal. They are there to set priorities, they are there to set strategies, they are there to tell you what the missions and visions of the business, right? And there are people who are there to supervise leads and everything, and also people who are there to also manage various department priorities and team lead who are also there to assist the junior teams or staff or employees within that same department. So that's where you mean top down approach budgeting. So in the top down approach budgeting, the way the strength they actually have strengths and challenges actually. So the top down approach is you planning from the top. Now you a solution whereby the stakeholders, the C-suite, the boards, and the higher level leaders, they set their priorities and they pass it on down to the team level, to the bottom, to the low levels, and all of that. So they have the right to make all the priorities and all of that without even necessarily seeking the consent of each department heads and all of that, or the teams on or employees. So they give their own priorities, they sit down on the high level, conclude on what to be done, and it is then passed down to the necessary cadres in the team in the organization. Definitely this process has a strength and also the challenge aspect of it. Now, the strength aspect of it is faster to execute where limited iteration. It's faster to execute where management just give their decision, they conclude on it, on the board or the C-suite level just conclude and everything is just passed down like that decay down to all the rest of the team for them to execute, right? So it's very faster. There's no much rigorous process you going to be chasing everybody. Now the board have concluded and they've all gone to they just agreed and aligned on what the period is going to look like, and thereby this is now then passed down to the relevant team. It ensures strategic alignment. The two, the strength, one of the second strengths is it ensures strategic alignment upfront. Now, like I said, there will not be time of wasting you say, oh, should we do this, then back and forth and all that. But because when you are doing budgeting, there's a whole lot of budget in some organizations though. Some can actually take, it can take months, right? Whereby you are chasing stakeholders, they are alignment, no, should we do this, no, take this one off, no, bring this one, So there's a whole lot of things that goes on when you're planning the budget, right? So it ensures strategic alignment upfront. So before everybody are saying, oh no, we don't like what this team has put together. the board are not sending them back again, go back. That's what board, at least board level, the board have already decided what they want and the goal for the year and all of that. So it's just faster and it goes like that. Instead of it's going down to the top, where the top now get that say, oh, we don't agree with this. You guys go and bring this and all of that. Good for early stage or tight deadline cycles. Now, okay, yes, it's very good for let's say early stages and deadlines and cycles. Like for example, from some organizations who maybe you can see most of all these small SMEs when they're doing their budget, it usually comes down from the top level down like that, and everybody just move ahead and the financial year just begin, right? So where it also helps to where there's tight line circles and all of that, faster to like faster is good. And also it reduce analysis paralysis. Yes, so that time where you see budget will stress you in a way that you, if you are not used to it, you will almost want to cry because you will do your model mulling times. In things that you can have up to about 5 to 6 model by the time you started working in this organization. Again, not because you don't know what they are doing, but because different people are involved and it's coming, they are trying to carry a whole lot of stakeholders and they're coming from the down to the top. That's the reason why you can do a whole lot of them. So it is analysis paralysis in the sense that you will not get to do much, right? You just get your decision straight from the board and again you just do your thing. The challenge there is may lack operational reality. So the board might not, the board, even as much as the board are there, the one making the decision, but they are the one that have the eyes on the business. They see everything that's happening in the business. That's something you need to know too, right? So if they may lack operational reality because the people who are there operating on the business, seeing the business day to day and what is happening, are not really giving the input or making those suggestions for the budget contributing. So that's why it may lack that operational reality and also low buy-in from managers. Now, yeah, so manager will not really have much to say on what the business is saying and all of that. So misses grassroots cost drivers as well. Grassroots in sense that these people are not, like I said, they are not there. You only see the final input and when the team or the leaders come to present to them what the business is like to look at. So the people who are like who have the eyes on the business, see how the business is functioning are the people, the managers, the team leads and various department heads. Yeah, so let's start for top down budgeting. I feel like that's enough. As you can actually do with that when we ask for top down budgeting is those are the approach we are looking at. So the two approaches. So the next approach we are looking at is the bottom up. So like I said, there are two approaches you use when it comes to budgeting. We talked about the top down budgeting and the bottom up budgeting. The top down budgeting is when you are starting from the C-suite, the overall business planner, the leaders in the business, then and it's cascading down to the various department heads and team leads. Right? So that's for the top down. Then what I'm talking about bottom up. Bottom up is when the C suite now the bottom and are taking the team lead levels to be the top to make the priorities. Right. So now the board is now seeing that we are giving you guys the upper hand because you guys see the business more than we do, and also because you guys are the one on the field and operating on this number. You are the ones consuming all these numbers and everything. So we give them to make their decision and pass it down to the board for the board to execute and the board to reviews and also review the consolidated plan and also to see if it align with the overall plan. Though questions might really come in, if they don't agree, they'll still go back and align their priorities. So that's it. So it starts from the team level, sub details, cost and head plans, whereby it goes various to the various team levels. The comes with their various plans for the year, in terms of the operational metrics, numbers, drivers, and everything they need. Uh, uh, that's aspect of gathering your information, right? Then down to the department head that getting and prioritizing team input and also so when the various team the when the various teams are provided on their information, so the department heads can go ahead and aggregate and prioritize this team input and also they pass down to division lead. It depends just it can be more than it depends on how the organization is structured, right? So This is just a way to tell you that it starts from the low down to the top heads and all of that. So division lead rolls up to division now P&L to see if those divisions or their lead or their sections will be able to uh, make profit, a reasonable profit for the year. And then it's passed down to the board and so for approval to review the consolidated plan and the sort of strategies behind the numbers. Because you don't just prepare the numbers, every number tells a story. So you have to back it up with the strategy, what makes up the number, what are your reasons behind this projection, what are the reasons behind this number, why are you using this and all that. So you have to be able to defend it and also for the boss to be able to be convinced that yeah, this is a well put out budget for the business. Now the strength, one of the strengths there is that high accuracy grounded in operations, where high accuracy in the sense that you will not get to miss anything, right? So you are giving these people the leverage to do their thing, to come up with all the operational needs and all of that. And strong managers, ownership and accountability, people are held accountable for providing their input and all of that. And captures weak cost drivers at source. Now you will not get to miss anything. Catch the weak drivers at source where it's happening, where everything are consuming their own input, their own costs and data, and are responsible for providing the information. And better forecasting quality over time. So with time, because you are getting the actual numbers and input from the team, you're able to forecast properly with the numbers and get real quality forecast for the business. So challenge is time intensive. Many stakeholders are you can be very consumed. Many stakeholders are busy and it requires you to be chasing them one after the other for input and all of that, which can be more challenging at times. And that's one of the process challenging this project and risk of sandbagging and padding. A lot of people will be padding a lot of their budgets just to see how these are or things are done. Yeah. So it all comes with a whole lot of I said the budgeting process is like politics. So a lot of things also go. So challenges is need strong reconciliation process. So you have to reconcile as a team. You have to gather a whole lot of information from different teams. So you are consolidating from this department. So it's a whole lot of process. You can see how it goes. Okay. So this is the major approach. The recommended approach that is mostly used by large big corporate organizations, right? You plan from bottom up, right? You might find yourself in a very small startup where when I was starting my career, so you will just see that priorities will just come down from the top team down like that. But, the budget will take time. Within the weeks or months, you are done preparing your budget, and you know, like that. But when you are working with more well standard structured organizations, the bottom up approaches were recommended and again you use the budget a combination of the budget up and like that so just height well done so the next one here is choosing the right approach. So why are you choosing the right approach? You want to choose the right approach. We are comparing both the top down and bottom up. Now, the dimension we are choosing, we have the speed, accuracy, buy-in. We are going to look at it based on this category in terms of speed, in terms of accuracy, buy-in, strategic alignment, best for and hybrid use cases. Now, for speed, top down is fast. Well, like I said, it's within a week you are done. And top down approach is coming from the board. They've already aligned their priorities. They've already agreed to the passing down to the team to execute. Now, for bottom up, it's very slow. It takes months. You can see now that when I have to pause the program, at least when I'm coming back. Don't forget that period when we started this training, I've already started working on the budget. But it wasn't I was still having some levity of time to be able to commit to the training section. Right. So as at that time I've already started gathering my input and I've started having meetings with stakeholders, aligning priorities, what we are planning for the year, things we are looking out for and all of that. Before it started getting very more tight and rigorous where I have to start consolidating. Because sometimes you have to be chasing these people, right? You won't just get what you want immediately. You start chasing them, and they are busy too. They have other things they are working on. You are asking them for queries, their numbers, because you have time. So, a proper way to guide you, you always have a budget timeline, like a calendar, how you are trying to walk through the number. Because if you don't have that, you'll be frustrated. You prepared your budget calendar, how you tend to go about your input collection, the period, the circular report, and send it to them so that they will be aware. And you send somebody, maybe you can delegate that section or that activity, that task to one member of your team to be accurate or sending reminders every day to them for them to fill in their input. Because if you don't do that, these people will forget and they will not, before you know, it's almost close to the end of the year and you don't even have the numbers ready. And what are you going to tell the board? So it's better you have your calendar, your timeline in place. You have your calendar and how you tend to go about the budget for the year, from collection of inputs, meetings you having with stakeholders, down to collaboration, releasing your first draft, and all of that. That is what it can take months. And accuracy, it's moderate. Accuracy is moderate because like I said, it's coming from the top. So you miss out on so many things, operationally and other cost metrics that you miss out. So it's just moderate, it's not very high. But accuracy for the bottom up is very, very high because every cost is justified from bottom to the top, right? So buy-in, we have low imposed targets. Now, the team will not be able to justify what you'll be able to meet. Let's put that in terms of revenue, right? Because it seems that the board can just include that a specific target has to be met and that's all. So you don't really have a buy-in or say on what to do. So you just impose on them. You have to carry that on. And for the teams, they are giving priority, high team build. So you have to come together and team up of what they can actually achieve more realistic for them. Strategic alignment, strong driven from the top, yeah, need reconciliation, heavy reconciliation, because there are situations where you have a whole lot of duplicates or numbers or inputs, some items appearing from multiple times from different, maybe the particular item that have been planned by another team is coming back again. And that, so you have to reconcile your data a lot just to ensure that you are not having double count in these information or items being given to you. So for best for startup critics budget. Now mature organization details of so for top down startup crisis budget. So yes, it's mainly for start like I earlier said, it's best for startups and crisis budget where you just have to, like I said, in weeks it's done. So for bottom up, for matured organization and detail ops operational organized budget and all of that. So hybrid use case. So use TD target as a grand way, then DU to fill details. Right. So that's the comparison between both approach. And actually I know that you'll be able to explain that even if you ask. Then next we'll be looking at rolling focus. Now we've talked about budget and then let's come down to the rolling program, moving beyond the actual budget cycle. Now we are moving away from actual budget cycle now to rolling focus. Now what then is rolling focus? Rolling focus is just I'll put it in a layman language where you'll be able to understand that. For example, you have your numbers already and you want to say, okay, based on the actual numbers that are coming, you already plan your budget for the year, and based on the actual numbers that are coming, they might not be exact or meeting up the budget as exact, or probably you must have surpassed the budget you plan. Yeah, which maybe let me use revenue for example. You have planned your revenue for the year and you are probably exceeding the budget that you plan for the year, which is a very good, favorable condition. And again, you want to really say, oh, we are already exceeding this budget. So, what is likely the chances of what the period or the month or the number period that you are working on is going to look like? So, you can do it like a rolling forecast based on it, adjust based on the actual numbers that are coming. So, based on the actual numbers that are coming, it tells you automatically tells you what the next period is going to look like, right? So that's what it is. That's what rolling progress is. I believe that you understand what I mean by that, right? So it are just based on actual numbers that are coming in. Now you already budget beyond the actual budgeting cycle that you have done. You have budgeted already. Now you are adjusting to a more realistic approach to see how the view is going to look like. Yeah, so they both work hands. You use them, alright, to guide your decision beyond just the budget. Right? How you are tackling this budget? Oh, why we are not meeting budget, but on a realistic approach, where can we land? So a really focus can actually tell you based on the actual input that are coming. So let's go on to the next slide. So what's rolling forecast? Always, so we have, for example, this is a typical example you'll be able to understand now. What is rolling forecast? Now, we have January, February to December, right? Now, which is from January to February is actual, which is locked, and the current, let me extend this so that we're able to see these numbers properly. Right. So from April is the current month, just like what I've explained now. So you've already prepared your budget for the period, and based on the actual numbers that are coming, you already have the actual number. Maybe in January you budgeted 3 million, and in January the actual number revenue that you now made was now 2 million. You are under budget. You did not exceed the budget, right? But in February again, maybe you budgeted 3.5 million and you now did 1.5. You are still under budget. You did not still meet the target, the budget. In February again, you did not still meet the budget. So you now have 3 months actual data locked in already. You can then introduce like a rolling forecast to say, okay, oh, based on these numbers that are coming now, it's looking like realistically I'm not able to miss the budget I have budgeted for the year. So what then do I do? Management cannot be relying on, yes, again, with the goal, the target is that budget, but you still need to be able to make decisions realistically where you are going to land. Realistically where you are going to land. That's where the only focus comes in. Now the budget have the board or the management have had the budget that 3 million is the goal for April, but because of the actual numbers that are coming in recently, we are not been meeting target. But realistically, where can we land? That's where the only focus comes. So in April, it adjusts based on the actual numbers, and it's what money tells you based on drivers, tells you what April is going to look like. So like that, you keep rolling, rolling, rolling till December, where you can actually see more realistic view. Do you get? Yeah. So always forward looking, maintain a fixed horizon, e.g., 12 or 18 months that roll forward each month on each quarter. Right. So it depends on the period, 12, 18 months, and all of that. Depends on how you want to be rolling it and all of that. It is driver based, build on KPIs and business driver, not just accounting line items. Enables faster updates. So it's based on drivers, not just based on accounting thing, giving you the data and everything. So it's based on drivers, right? Based on drivers, you see the growth, the trends, and all of that, and you just use that to roll that, which is faster to update and all of that. And they replace static budgets. Yes, it also replace static. Now, budget has been done. A budget is, like I said, is the plan. You don't touch it, so it's static. It's there already. That's the plan for the year. So whether you meet it or not, you don't go back to change it. The board has approved and it has been sealed, right? And that is what can be cascade down to the team, and the team will be working towards. But again, it is static. That's what it is, static. But your only focus is flexible. It tells you, you check your numbers, you based on drivers that are coming, you adjust and tells you what the period is going to look like. Then we have the bias for actions. Now enable faster bias for action now enable faster management decision because planning horizons remain meaningful year round. Like I said, it enable them to make decision faster based on the actual inputs that are coming in. So let's move to the next slide, which is we have here, which is the 5-step rolling focus processes. Now, how to implement. Now, the first is driver. Define your driver. You define first when you are running your focus. This is the 5 push I recommend. First, you define your drivers. Now, identify 5 to 10 business KPI that drive revenue and cost, e.g., headcount units and ECD and all of that. Now, the next ability is set horizon and KPI. Choose 12 or 18 months horizon, update monthly or quarterly. Now, the third, you have business, build your driver model, link financial output to driver assumptions using formulas, using templates. No, when we start going through the practical aspects on building the question, you will get to understand all these things we're talking about. Now, update actual. Now, you log prior month actuals, and from there you fresh driver assumptions for open period. Then the fifth one, you review and communicate, present focus versus prior focus versus budget and year landing. So like that, you are all able to tell your own something. So start with the 12-month rolling horizon updated quarterly before. So the next one we have here is our various tracking framework, right, which is the part 3. We can turning numbers into actionable insight. Now, when it comes to about 4 uh, variance type or you must know, we have a whole lot of variance type you need to know. We have the price variance, we have the volume variance, we have the mix variance, and we have the rate variance, right? So it depends on the business you are working on. Now, variance analysis is a very powerful tool that management don't joke with. Why? Because it makes them to make decisions and understand the business, what is happening, where we are going, and why it happens, right? So, and the necessary actions. Now, let's say for example, I'll give you a typical example whereby we like I just explained, we've already done the budget for the year, and the management are now the actual numbers are now coming in. So the other things you now do is what we call the variance analysis, where you are comparing the actual numbers and the budget that you have budgeted. Now, I will a typical example of the revenue. Now, or the price revenue. Well, the example of the revenue. Now, the revenue you have budgeted 3 million, and the actual number you saw for that month was now 2 million. And we have a variance of about 1 million, right? So that variance, management wants to know why we did not meet that 3 million. What is that cost in that job done of that 1 million variance that we are having? So they want to understand the reason behind it, the why, and the action what we can do better to hit the next target. So this is the reason why it is a very powerful tool, and every management use it a lot to answer it. It's one of the. It's not just it's not just a process. It's not just a report or analysis you just do for doing sake. It's something you have to do because it's a very strategic aspect of FP&A, where you have to be able to tell the story behind the number of what that happened. So when we just understand, oh, this was the reason why they were able to set priorities and measures their outcomes effectively. So it could be that probably the reason for the drop in that revenue could be that it could be that because of price, maybe the budgeted price and what actually came in, there was a friction, right? So that way, maybe customer did not pay as what we have budgeted for, or there's a problem of product mix, right? So it could be a reduction in price. Isolate the impact of pricing decision for volume changes. Key for revenue and cost analysis. Now, so solid 1,000 units at 52 versus you budgeted of 50. Now, you sold 1,000 units at $52, and now you are meanwhile you budgeted $50 per unit. So you can see that in this case, it is favorable. It is due if the revenue increase, you see that you got additional increase in price, maybe customer paid more of 2% or $2, which led to the increase above budget, which is favorable. So it can be that price was favorable, right? Or rather, volume was favorable. Price was not favorable, but volume was able to offset the price issue in the sense that you sold more beyond what you targeted for the year. Now you sold 900 and you budgeted 1,000, which is below already, which was very, very unfavorable, which likely led to reduction in revenue. Now, these two things can actually cause inflation. When you exceed your volume target, your quantity that you sold for the year, it's likely that you will exceed your budget for the year. Again, it could be again from your pricing where you did not meet your volume, but your pricing also helped you. People pay significantly more per product, which has helped to scale your revenue significantly. So it can work in both sides where both sides was the issue. There's a drop down in volume and price as well. So it's like that. So these are how you decompose your revenue variance and your variance analysis on revenue impact and all of that. Now the mixed variance whereby you have actual means and budget means whereby you calculate revenue impact from product to channel, shift plan priority, whereby some products or specific aspect of the business are not doing well, are dragging the margins of the business. So that's where the miss. So the miss could be the issue could be from different means. It could never be from pricing. Could be that okay, from business, some aspect of the business are not doing well. I'm not seeing volumes, I'm not seeing price increase and all of that. So it could be like that, shift in different priorities in the product and all of that. So you need to. So we have the rates variance common in manufacturing and labor cost. I said labor cost analysis, separate efficiency movement from rate changes and all of that. Actual rate standard rate times the actual hours or per unit works. So I think that's that for variance analysis. So monthly variance reporting, the three-layer model. Now let's the process. So three layers. When you do your monthly variance analysis, you quantify and you explain, you ask. These are the three layers I always anchor my boots. Now you quantify, you explain, you also ask. Now calculate actual versus budget. You can do your dashboard, can you have your actual numbers coming in, you have your budget to do all this practically and see how it was. Then you don't just see, oh, there's an increase. Why do we not meet our budget? Just like I've explained, you go further and quantify the metric, calculate the actual versus forecast, calculate actual versus prior here, then flag variance above material threshold, e.g., there's a less than of about 5% versus the budget what happened. 500K. You quantifying the number. When you quantify, you are stating the number. Quantifying, you are stating the number. At what number or at what percentage was there a drop? Now you are comparing revenue versus actual revenue versus budget. Now what was the gap? We have a 1 million gap because you budgeted 3 million and you saw 2 million. So there's a variance of about 1 million that you have missed, which we have quantified already. Management have seen the variance. It could be in percentage, it could be in numbers. Like that. So then you explain. The management also want to know why, what happened. You decompose into price, volume, means, rate, and tell them what could be the cause. Was it price? Was it volume? Where is it coming from? What unit? What pricing? What product? Like that. So, and the time permanent versus time variance. Was it permanent or was it? Is it a permanent? Is it a permanent condition or just what a one-time issues? Right? But maybe because let me use a cost an example. That you have budgeted this can water, bottled water, to be 250, then suddenly maybe you thought it's still going to remain at 250, and during that period you budgeted, let's say you budgeted 500 quantity for a particular meeting. Unfortunately for 500 people, unfortunately you now saw more than 500 people and you now bought maybe 600, right? So that's the one, not that monthly, on the monthly basis is 500 used to buy, but because you saw 600, you now you now had additional cost of 100, which that is a one time something. Maybe probably you had a very huge amount of meeting, a conference or something that you had that has shift the priorities, right? So it could be the impact could be a permanent or a timing driven effect, right? It's just timing or it's permanent, right? Which you know that, oh, this thing we didn't budget for it properly. Now quantify impact of no one-time items attribute to responsible cost center. So you explain all these things and then you explain that so that your whether it be detailed enough, it should be detailed enough and meaningful enough for the board of stakeholders to be able to make decisions. You should be able to answer their questions they will have in mind. Then you ask. So when you ask, either you will forecast if variance signal threshold change. If the variance signal threshold changes, you can introduce a forecast to say, okay, let's do forecast, if we only focus on something to see how it's going to look like for us the next month. Escalate if corrective action is needed, update rolling forecast assumptions, and document for audit trees and learning. So that's the three layer model for variance reporting. If that is clear enough, right? So the next we'll be looking at, so this is a typical structure, like what I've been saying. We have a variance commentary template for a CFO ready. So this is typically how it look like when you are doing your variance analysis. So you have your line item, we have revenue, we have core, we have gross profit, we have OPEX, which is people, we have EBITDA, right? Now, revenue here, like I said, you have your budgeted 5,000, and here your actual that you saw is 532, which is green. You can see that you have exceeded your budget by 320 dollar or naira, whatever you're using, dollar, right? So you can see that if I increase over 320, that's 6 point. The variance number is 320, then the variance percentage is 6.4% above the budget, which is what is the driver type? What actually drove this effect? This revenue above budget. But every 5,000 or so, 5,000 something, which is a good thing, which is favorable. It's because it could be volume plus price. Both actually adding part. Higher units, so you sold higher units, extra 150 extra, plus $2 price uplift on enterprise tier. You get, so it could be the product is different tier level, enterprise tier like that. So you saw a price increase over two, which also led to that increase, which is also good. Management is like, wow, wow, wow. Then they were able to make their decision on that. Then the cogs, which is this, okay, you budgeted 2,200 and you actually spent 350. What happened? 150 million. That means you overspent. There was no savings, you overspent. So the beauty of everything, management want to be able to save costs. Not only they are saving costs, they want to be able to maintain quality and also be able to not shrink the business, right? So it must be able to be justifiable, right? So was this decrease or increase in cost, was the reasonable? Right? So volume driven aligned to revenue. So because there was a list of additional, maybe you planned your cost based on 5,000 revenue, because revenue, your cost case based on the quantity of number of people or whatever quantity of volume you saw, which also impacts your cost. So management want to see maybe because you saw additional 320, maybe that was that increase was based on the budget, the spike was there, right? So volume plus rate. So volume driven aligned to revenue, spot rate increase on material, 50K unfavorable, right? So gross profit, 2,800 and you saw 970, which is favorable mixed, net above items, right? So which is still more favorable. So OPEX, which is operational expenses, we have put people because people are the one responsible for that and all that spending and all of that. So 1,200, 1,050. So this is time driven. This could not be permanent. This is time driven. It could be that you budgeted 1,200 and you only spent 1,050. It could be that there are some items that were not spent in that month. Probably they will be coming in the next period or next month, which you might likely see a spike, because you can jump in that number, which can actually make up. So you can say that is timing. It's not saying it's permanent. It's timing because three open headcount position, recruiting delay to Q3, expected reversal. Now you get to, you can see like what I have just said. Either this is one of the comments the CFO wants to see. Oh, what was the cost? Oh, there are still three more headcount that needs to come in for this month, but we have none, but that has been prioritized for the next month. You can see that maybe probably in the next month or next quarter, is going to see that increase in that number, right? So EBITDA 16 and 120. So missed. So adjusted EBITDA include 150 timing benefits the outpatient of 170K. So these are commentaries I've written. I have variance analysis. Typical example of variance analysis is very powerful in FP&A. You do it month on month, right? It's management don't joke with it. It's a way of you explaining the outcome behind the numbers. Now we have the last one here is your key takeaway. So at the end of this thing, this is what you are expected to have learned and be able to go go out of this video and be able to get when even if you are called upon to explain anything. Right. So the key takeaway for you is budget design. One, budget design shape culture, top down move fast, bottom up interest, hybrid leverage both for strategy plus accuracy. Then two, we have static budget line by February, rolling forecast, keep all your plan alive, always 12 to 18 months of visibility of this February. Now, variance analysis is a conversation, price, volume, mix, and rate decomposition, turn a number into a story that drives decision. Now, the fourth one is quantify and explain, then ask. Every variance needs an owner, the root cause, and the response, not just a number in the table, right? So next section, we'll be looking at management reporting and KPI dashboard. So that's what we'll be looking, how to build these numbers in practical terms. So I'll see you in the next video. In case you have any questions, just like I said, do well to put it on the comment section, or you can drop it on our group. Again, for those of you who are just coming across our channel for the first time, here we teach everything about anything you need to learn about finance, money, practical aspects for corporate professionals and those who also are interested in investing as well. So we'll be dropping video time to time. Do well to subscribe, follow us, and like our video. This will help us, and this is a way for you to also help us to motivate us to do more, to bring in more content like this for us. That's the only way you can support us. Right? See you in the next video. Bye.